And we're live! Hey, who would have guessed that I actually remembered how to press that button? Welcome to the first layer. My name's Brian, and
Oh, I have to get my camera.
wandering around here making all this terrible noise. Jess, say hi to everybody.
Hello, everybody. Hold on, I'm taking a picture of my niece.
YouTube's like totally fighting me tonight. Well, yeah, we're kind of waiting for more people to join. We actually decided for once to actually open up this live stream here. And I totally do not know how to lock focus on myself, so I'm just gonna mute you, Jess, because I'm really bad at this.
Oh, did I miss it? As soon as I walk
How's it
away.
going, everybody? I'm gonna try to keep tabs of this YouTube chat here. I've got about 7 screens bouncing around me. I've got, video preview for myself here. I got chat here. I've got second screen over here, so you're gonna see me looking all over the place. But yeah, if you want to come join the Hangout tonight, you can click on the link. I think the last one I posted at 7:09 Alberta time, that one should work. If not, let me know in the chat, and we'll fix it up. Let's see, who do we got here tonight? We have, because YouTube won't actually update that page of participants, that doesn't help. Iggy the Tech, Jake from State Farm, John Kitchen, Paul Cumber, and Rick Lennon. How's it going, guys? Happy Saturday, happy pre-Easter, is that what we're calling it now? What do you think, Jess? Is it pre-Easter or is it Easter?
Well, I'm at Easter dinner, so Easter.
I think I've actually
Easter
broke
works
her
for me.
mic. I may have.
What?
I can mute you, but I can't unmute you apparently. So wait. There we go. I can control the volume.
Anyways, as I was saying, I'm at Easter dinner, so Easter works for me.
Yeah, you get all the good Easter foods. I don't have any Easter food myself. That's my mistake. One Raz saying pre-Easter here.
Oh no, my Hangout's just crashed.
Oh, nice. Even better. This is what happens when we try to wing with Hangouts on air. It sometimes works, it sometimes doesn't. Well, until we get Jess back, I'm going to fight the system here, and I'm going to see if we can try and learn something tonight. How does it sound? Oh, wait.
There it is.
There she is.
I'm on my phone, so it's kind of janky.
Yeah. Welcome to technology. Yeah, as soon as you drop off, I notice I lose like 5 subs, so it's all good. Yeah, so Jess, if you didn't see her video recently on which printer did you do again? It was the Anycubic.
The Predator. Get to the printer.
Which didn't print very well, if I recall.
Not at all.
Always a struggle. Yeah, I'm swallowing all this water the wrong way. This is what happens when you're dehydrated.
I've got Moscato.
Ooh, that sounds nice.
Delicious.
Yeah. Hey, Wiley, it's going good there, bud. We're actually doing a Hangouts for like the first time in ever, and that's why I said mods are asleep post Google Hangouts. So come click the link if you want to come join in there. So I really have like no topics to talk about tonight. I was thinking we can always, dig deeper into the wonderful world of Visual Studio Code, and I have to check because I swear the video is backwards on both sides. I have to.
We could ask people too what they want us to address in future videos.
Yes, that's why this is a Hangout. I'm encouraging everybody to give your feedback. Let us know what you want to talk about. What kind of issues are you having too? Let's definitely dive into those tonight. So if you got an issue, go ahead and post it in the chat, and we will definitely.
Well, you'll have to relay any questions to me because I can't see them.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got one chat window there, so.
I've got my phone.
So Jess, what have you been printing lately?
Big microphone project for the Big Rock Stingers.
Oh yeah.
I have one microphone dome left to print, and then I'm done. And that'll be 36 microphones total that has been printed over a course of probably a month.
Holy smokes! Yeah, I think I saw at your place you were doing simultaneously printing on your CR10 and on your Ender 3, eh?
I could only make 6 microphones at a time on my CR10, and I think 3 or 4 at a time on the Ender 3.
Oh wow, that's
So,
wild. I'm still tweaking in my big machine. Let's see if I actually. Oh, I do have a camera of it right now. I'm trying to print some kind of acoustic silencer or something that I randomly saw in a CR10 group, and it's chunking away, but it's got like a 70-degree angle overhang, so it's really not happy right now.
the next thing on my print bed will be knickknacks for actors at Comic Expo.
Yes, that's coming up real quick. It's a shame I didn't. If you were at home, I'd actually make you show off a bit of your outfit because it's pretty awesome.
I mean, I live next door.
So maybe that'll happen. If you guys want to see Jess's cosplay outfit, it's not skimpy, I promise that much. But if you want to see it,
It's no Vampirella.
yeah, post it in the comments there, and maybe I'll get her to walk back next door. Yeah, otherwise, my machines aren't doing a whole lot right now. I'm trying to get the Ender 3 Dual going beside me here. The problem is it's the measurement nozzle offsets and math and all that boring stuff. And for those of you who don't know, I'm going to be flying out to Eastern Canada tomorrow morning, so I'm going to be having my Easter dinner on a plane probably. So, if you guys really want to rub it in my face, tell me what you're having for Easter dinner in the chat, and I'll cry a little.
Steak.
Steak. Paul Cumber is asking, how many 3D printers you own?
2.
Yeah.
Technically 3, but one of them hasn't even finished production yet because it's Kickstarter.
Well
technically 4 because one of them's in pieces at the shop.
50% functioning, that's what you got.
Yeah, let's go with that.
Yeah, me, I've got 3 functioning, and then 1 that's a skeleton at this point. Nothing too exciting. I've got an Ender 3 Pro, what once was a CR10S, and then what once was an Ender 3 that's a dual head, which I really want to get going. I'm not sure if you can even hear the fan beside me here, but I just powered it up for the first time in like several weeks, and it needs some love.
Can't hear it.
Oh, that's good. At least that's half silent. Let's see if I there it is. See, there's the tiny little guy.
Aww.
Yeah, it's cute. So I'm hoping I can maybe by the end of this episode actually get something running on it. I gotta do a bunch.
How long are you gonna be filming this for? I guess.
Oh, the live stream here? We'll go for an hour. See if anyone else joins in here.
I might have to duck out, but I may come back depending on time.
Oh, that's all good. We'll just start doing the software stuff. So I'm just gonna.
As soon as you touch the software stuff, I'm leaving.
Well, that's pretty typical. That explains how your printer runs, because you never hang around for my software advice.
I don't know if you can see this, but I sliced my finger open with a steak bone.
Yeah, when I said get a new slicer, I didn't mean chop up your finger.
No.
We all have battle scars. I don't think I have too many left on my hands from burning on the print bed.
Go to the other camera.
Oh.
It's like an inch long. It's all the way up my finger.
That looks a lot better than it was.
You didn't see it before.
Well, how you described it, it was pretty terrible.
Yeah, but that's because you misunderstood when I said there was a bone sticking out.
Yeah. Well, you can understand where I went the wrong direction on that.
This is true.
Yeah. So, David Clark's got a question on layer heights. Go ahead and ask it, bud. We'll tackle it as soon as you post it. Paul Cumber broke his finger, so welcome to the Richard Club. The Richard Club of breaking fingers, because
what's from steak bone?
A lot this year. What else we got going on? Well, as I said, tonight might just end up being a software night for me because I've got nothing fun really on my printers right now. It's just having them run away, and I can't leave them too long because I'm traveling for 2 weeks. So
it's kind of a photography night for me. I'm doing baby photos.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I may drop you here just a second.
Well,
Well,
Jess,
I just get my camera positioned. There we go. I have to cheat and use it through the windowed mode.
which camera do you have there?
This is a Canon T6S.
Nice. My cameras are a little dated. The one I'm normally shooting with, the one that's always giving battery issues, is this guy here. It sits in front of me. It's an old T2i. Does the job. You may notice my video looks a little... it might look better, it might look worse, I don't know, but I got a good deal on a Sony Handycam today, so I'm actually feeding that via HDMI. Let's see if this... kind of hard to see there. I know, I'll switch to USB camera, the fun one here. Where is it here? There we go. Just a little baby Handycam in front of me. So
that's ghetto.
Yeah, well, it's actually pretty recent, all things considered. It's pretty good video quality there. Paul Cumber, any new projects coming up? Nothing new on my roster, just kind of ongoing. It's mostly just on this Ender 3 Dual going forward. I got a lot of parts on my other machines that are being installed right now, but otherwise, I'm just trying to get them back running, really. That and Thingiverse hasn't had very many interesting models lately. Rick Landon, actually, it is quite balanced. This room is extremely hot right now. It's like 30 degrees in here, 30 degrees Celsius. That's what? I don't know my Imperial very well.
You need to open a window there.
Yeah, I do, but it's behind me by about 7-8 feet, and by the time I got everything set up, I said, we'll give it a go. See, that's the color difference there, as you can tell.
Oh, there's Raymond. Hey, Raymond.
Hey, Raymond. How's it going? Set up, I said, we'll give it a go. See, that's the color difference there, as you can tell.
There's Raymond. Hey, Raymond.
Hey, how are you?
Raymond.
Okay, I'm being summoned, so I gotta leave the hangout now.
Oh no! All right, we got lots of good.
Catch you guys later.
I just needed to have to for a second there, Raymond, while the audio settles down there. But I think it was. I think it's coming through your speaker there. That's probably why it messed up. Let's see if that's any better now. Because we had Jess's phone and your phone.
That's better.
There we go. Yeah, that's what happens when people use Google Hangouts with phones and all that.
Oh, no, I was just on 2 pages at once.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's my problem, too, is I can never mute the YouTube video till we go live, and it's just quick back and forth, and, to get it right.
Yeah.
So, it's been a long time since I've seen you. How have you been doing?
Not too bad. Printing away, lots of stuff to print.
Yeah, I think the last time I spoke with you, you were talking about doing the Moe head Kleenex box.
Yeah, I haven't got that done yet. Put that in the back burner. I actually just finished up a bullet feeder for my reloading system.
Oh.
So it's all automatic now, all printed. It's all good to go. I'll post a video up of it later tonight.
I'm looking forward to seeing that.
Yeah, lots of fun. So that's the type of stuff I like to print is, more stuff that's functionable, that kind of thing.
I'm with you there. I'm not generally too arts and crafty. If anything, it's just kind of to keep my printer busy. As you see, I do a lot of mechanical stuff with these printers, and sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. Most of the time it doesn't, but as you'll see over time, I might eventually get it right.
Yeah, I've done that as well. I got that FL Sun i3 that I've put so much work into it and so much money into it that you just got to keep going now.
No kidding. Yeah, once you bury yourself into a machine, you're going to drop 3 times the cash on it. I think, let's see if I can lift her nicely. This is what's left of my mono price. There's some wires hanging out there. I don't have a lot sitting on her, but she's a nice paperweight.
All my machines work. There's no problem there. And I've all been printing. My wife has been printing these rabbits, articulated rabbits for Easter.
Oh, awesome!
So she's been dominating the 2 Enders for the last 2 weeks.
Oh, I don't doubt that. Yeah, I decided yesterday to try and print some bunny ears, and I was going to wear them today, but yeah, they did not come out well. So I had to abandon ship on that idea.
That's what she's printing. I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah, I just switched. That's awesome.
They articulate, move around.
Now, is that doing like a pause at height? Or...
Yes. Yep.
Wow.
A pause at height, and you can change the color.
That turned out great.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
Yeah,
she's printed about 30 of those things.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. That's awesome, man. I'm really glad to see that those you're getting a good duty cycle on those Ender 3s.
Yeah, and very little problems. Only mine, I've upgraded the hot end on it, but that's about it. It's kind of it's a hokey pokey hot end, but it works really well. It's just a Chinese one. Seems to work really well, and we don't touch anything else really. Hers is all stock. We don't need to touch it.
So is that an all metal hot end, the knockoff one that
yeah.
you have? Or? Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's fantastic. I'm just fighting with this Hangout, seeing if it actually auto switches for everybody else, or if it's just, when I click on a face again, it comes back. I don't use Google Hangouts much anymore, to be honest. Not with Google announcing they were ending it.
Right.
Yeah. So what do we got here in the chat? When I use Cura and slice my project, it gives a time of 18 hours, and now it's at 59% and been running 15.36 hours. Welcome to the world of print estimating. You may have luck at getting that right, but in my experience, because of acceleration and all these different parameters, you have to take that as the minimum print time, I think.
Minimum, yeah, usually. I find slicer PE, though, for me is bang on. Oh, yeah? Within 5 to 10 minutes.
Wow. That's actually really impressive.
But it works with the FL Sun flawlessly, where Cura won't work with the FL Sun.
Mm-hmm.
And the slicer PE doesn't work with the Enders very well.
Yeah, I've actually heard that. I mean, I'm still kind of sticking with Cura, but I've been meaning on experimenting with a few new slicers. I actually did buy Simplify 3D, so I kind of have to use that once in a while too. But yeah, it doesn't.
For sure.
It doesn't do a lot of things right. Let's put it that way. I'm just trying to see here if I can. Let's see if this old G-code file works. I haven't used my Ender 3 Dual in a while, so I'm guessing since it's labeled dual print, it'll probably work. But yeah, I had a lot of calibration issues with this machine.
I had that with the FL Sun for months. I couldn't calibrate it properly, and then all of a sudden it just dialed in one day. I get these nasty waves when I go about 3 inches high. I don't know what it's from. Other than that, it's fine.
Well, if you're noticing at that height, I would assume it's something to do with lubrication on the Z rod.
Could be.
Yeah,
it does have a dual Z rod, so.
Yeah, I would assume it's probably something where it's jamming up or getting a little bit stuck on the rod there. That's when you start to notice banding on your prints.
Right.
So now I'm always on the fence about what to use. A lot of people are saying use like white lithium grease, and then I use that everywhere, and they say don't use it everywhere, just use it on the threaded rods. So it's cheap enough, right? It's easy enough to wipe off. It can be all sorts of alignment issues too with those Z rods, and that's the problem with this technology is when you try to get these super thin machined rods, basically you're gonna have some variety in them. So if it's consistently happening at that site or that location, I bet you it's just a lubrication thing.
Very well, could be. I'm going to try and take the laptop upstairs, and I'll give you a little tour of my room up there.
Ooh, sounds good.
I was just sitting in the living room.
Yeah, me, I live in a tiny condo, so what you see is what you get for my engineering space, if you will. There's just not a lot even off camera.
Well, my kids are all growing up and gone away now, so. So I'm going to turn the computer around and let you have a quick look at what's going on.
Oh, wow. You set up a full workshop. That's awesome.
There's the two machines printing the bunnies for my wife. But yeah, so that's my maker space.
That looks fantastic, man.
And then in the garage, I have a metal lathe and a milling machine and that kind of stuff as well.
Wow. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't have the house yet to set up the milling machine or anything like that. But eventually, it's on the list. Rick Landon's asking how to get a crafty wife/girlfriend. I think that's more catered to you. Mine, the answer is she just avoids it all. Shakes her head.
Well, what happened was my wife would use my printer all the time, so I had to buy her own for Christmas.
I remember that. Yeah, you had to buy that for her, and then look at what's happening now. Now she's running both, eh?
Exactly. I have to buy her another one.
Or get yourself one. Hand one down to her.
Yeah.
David Clark saying, I printed a Hulk Thursday, got to 20 hours, and decided to screw up. You can guess how fast that through the air. Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah, I've done that way too many times there.
I've actually been pretty fortunate. I usually catch my prints before they start to go wonky within the first 5 or 6 layers. I'll watch the first 10 layers of a print just to make sure that it's printing right, and then I'll walk away.
Yeah, I usually do that, but I learned if I start a print at 10 p.m. and watched for an hour, and then go to bed, at 11:10 it will fail every time, just to spite me.
Yeah, I don't usually run mine overnight very often. I still don't trust them.
That's fair. That's fair. I've looked into the Marlin code and tried to figure out how many safeguards you can put in, but at the end of the day, there is always a failure scenario that you can't solve with software on this one.
Yeah.
So.
I have a fire extinguisher up there just in case. You never know.
That's the way to do her.
And then we have our smoke detectors upstairs are the ones that actually talk to you. So they'll email me if it goes off. So it's a Nest one.
Oh, okay.
So it actually goes off and I'm not home, I can at least I know something's wrong.
Right. Yeah, that's what you got to do. Honestly, I mean, what's going to happen is the MOSFETs are going to fail or something. There's no critical safety power device on these machines, so you have to take what you can get. So I suppose once it starts, it's okay, to be honest. But yeah, it's still a nerve-wracking thing. I've had that happen where it's catastrophically failed, and Richard will attest, we nearly caught fire to one ender in Spool 3D at one point. All right, let's see if this is actually going to do anything there. This is the problem, is when you don't have any Z hopping set up, you're basically just winging it. So I have those bad practices of where you start twisting the Z rod. So
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, so sometimes you gotta quickly do that on the fly to get her going. So I don't know if we're actually. It looks it's still too high, I think. Let's take her right down to the bed air. Let's mess her right up. Yeah, the BL Touch has been pretty good on this, honestly, given the weird circumstance I'm trying to set up. But it still does have its own problems. This is why not a lot of people have released dual extrusion systems yet. Is they're getting there, but they're not quite ready yet, I think, for the mainstream market.
The reason why I bought the FL Sun is because it has a 350 by 420 bed, and it came with dual extruders, or the Cyclops.
So is that one a mixing nozzle, or is that separate?
I have both.
Oh.
So the Cyclops is the mixing nozzle, and then I have 2 separates. I don't have them installed yet. I only have the single extruder on there. One of these days I'll figure it out and put it on there.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend it. The mixing nozzles aren't they're okay, but really, if you're going to be doing dual extrusion, you're going to want different materials, right? Like I've got a thing of dissolvable filament ready to go as soon as I can get this dialed in there. But you know, two colors, I think the niche wears off real quick, to be honest with you.
Well, a lot of times you can just stop your print and you can do your dual color that way, depending on what you're doing.
Absolutely, yeah. I definitely agree with you there. It's just the kind of stuff I'm doing is truly blended colors throughout it. So all the test models like the octopus and everything like that, it is blended all over the place. But it is just a catch-22 of trying to get it right. I just say if you can afford the dual nozzle setup, then go ahead for it.
Yeah, like I said, I have all the parts there. They ship you all the parts with it. It was a build-your-own printer right from ground up. So I have all the pieces. I just haven't put it together yet. That's all.
Well, as long as the config is set up for it, I think you'll have no problem. I'm kind of show you. This is how I approached mine. Was I actually went with dual extruders with a Bowden feed right down to the hot end, and it's much better from the top for sure. But you know, this is me re-engineering it from the ground up. So every hurdle I'm going to come across, I feel like there's nothing I can back on. So hopefully with yours, it's people have done it, people have found the issues and have solutions to it, because otherwise it really is a pain.
That's probably why I haven't started mine yet, because of that.
Well, if you have the parts, I'd say definitely give it a go. I mean, you have a fallback, right?
Yeah, for sure.
We got RT in there saying good evening, everyone. Rick Lennon, how do Z-rods get 1 or 3 threads off from left to right? Well, it comes down to how we run motors, and I intend on doing a video coming up on stepper motors, but the simple answer is a stepper loses where it is. In fact, it has no idea where it is at any time. So if you pulse to 2 motors and only one of the 2 receives the message, then it's going to be offset right away. So there's that. There can be different gravity loads on it, but generally it's the steppers, especially when you set them up as separate drivers, they're going to have some headaches going through it. Personally, though, on my CR10, I really haven't had any offsets that weren't resolved by just adding a BL touch. Now,
Yeah, I found when I added the BL Touch to the FL Sun, it's flawless now. Yeah. However, they give you one of those little, not a BL Touch, but it's like a little blue block that they use for their sensor, and that thing is just a piece of garbage.
Yeah, is that the square one or the round one?
The square one, yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's just I think that's just an infrared probe, which is extremely inaccurate, but better than nothing. So, you know, again, it's a catch-22 with those devices. They were out on the market for a while. I think Omron made them in green.
Right, yes.
Yeah, I can't recall which one's which there, but, you know, they're all cheap stuff. The fact is, the only real good bed leveling method is with physical contact. Some of the probes are really good, but some of them, I never had any luck with them. In fact, I threw out all my probes. I'm using solely BL Touches now, and I don't regret it one bit.
Yeah, I have 2 BL Touches, original ones, and I have a Chinese knockoff one, which works like a charm. I'm quite surprised.
Well, there's nothing to the BL Touch device. Let me see if I can pull up an infographic on it. I've actually been talking with Paris from BL Touch a lot lately to try and resolve some other issues I was having with the V2 and 3.3 volt boards. Let me see if I can pull up something on these, because there are actually a lot of drawings available out there for it. Let's see here. BL Touch manual, maybe it's in this section. Oh, Paris published the data on V3. That's great, because we were talking about putting out a video on it, and we had just got the BL Touch this week, and then Teaching Tech dropped his video, so we were kind of, I'm like, oh, we better not just put one back to back with his, so basically the BL Touch is just a smart sensor device here. Let me see if I can switch to that screen there. And it relies on a Hall effect sensor, which is just kind of like a magnetic sensor. And the pin, as it moves up and down inside the device, will determine when it's actually reached that contact point. And that's why they can be so repeatable on the beds, is because the physical contact, that part doesn't so much matter as the pin coming in contact with or coming up close to that Hall effect sensor there. So they actually have added in a bunch of different logic within the little microchips on board, probably to condition it, make it cleaner, and so forth. And that's why people are having troubles with this version 3, is because I have a feeling they optimized it, but the Marlin code wasn't in tune with those new changes. So they had to go and write a bunch of changes in Marlin to make it actually work. David Clark's asking, is there a real difference between lead screws and ball screws on 3D printers, and is it worth changing to ball screws? I'll be honest, I have never actually used a ball screw. I'm still with, lead screws because they're cheap enough. Ball screws would probably be more accurate, but it's kind of it's usually quite a bit of an uptick in pricing. So the key is the key is with the ball ones is that, yeah, they're going to be machined better, but if you're holding current as high enough on your Z motors, then you shouldn't have to worry about micro vibrations on your lead screw, really, because your gantry is already weighing down on that Z screw. So I don't think you can actually get much play unless you're physically sitting there shaking it up or down or going through an earthquake or something like that. Any thoughts on that, Raymond?
No, not really. I haven't used it either. Just the lead screws is all I've ever used so far.
And I think that's what it comes down to is, it still works fine, so why bother upgrade, right? I mean, if you're doing accurate machining and you're doing CNC work and everything, yeah, you probably want a ball screw because you got a rotating head on there with vibrations. But this thing's just extruding plastic. There's no major movement happening on that gantry up and down on every single movement.
What have you heard about that new board from Big Tree Tech, the 32-bit one?
Everyone's telling me about it, and I think it's a good idea. Don't get me wrong, but at the same time, it's just it's just a rip-off of the MKS base, basically, and there's nothing wrong with that, but until Marlin 32-bit settles down, nobody's going to develop for it unless that price point convinces enough developers to flip over to it. So that was that. It was the SKR or something, right?
Yeah. Let
Yeah.
me see if I can flick to it here.
Yeah, I looked at it. I think here it is on Alibaba there, and I looked at it for a bit because, as I said, the S-Base that I run here on my CR10S Monster, it is it's this LPC 1768 chip, and so yeah, it's more than capable of doing Marlin. And yes, it has all these extra stepper ports, so you can still do dual extruder with it. The only thing I am noticing off the bat is that, oh, there it is, the 5-volt selector. Okay, so you can use 5-volt switches with it. Because that's that was the one concern I had. I know with the Creality I had to go that route. Let's take a look here and see. So they keep on, yeah, are they only selling the 1.1? I thought they were selling the 1.3 by now.
There is a 1.3, yes.
Yeah. Oh, there it is. Next link down. You can only buy it straight from BQ, I guess.
Yes.
And they want to sell you it with all this extra junk, which I don't want. Though.
Well, no, you can buy it just separate as well.
Wow, but that's not much of it. Oh, that's why. Yeah, they want to bundle it with LCDs only. That's unfortunate. Yeah, I think it's a good idea. Like it's always good to have competition out there, but what is it running by for stock? Is it running SmoothieWare?
Yes, by stock it's running the SmoothieWare.
Okay. So we have a small SD card for each motherboard. Now, I suppose we can talk about that. The reason you need an SD card with all these boards is because the firmware actually loads on each boot from the SD card. So I can basically do whatever I want with Marlin on this printer, and I never risk bricking it, which is pretty darn cool. So my only other concern is, you know, what quality are the MOSFETs that are on this board? I can first see that they're actually not putting heat sinks on them. So I would gander that's going to overheat pretty quick if you don't have a fan on it. I know all mine have at least much bigger FETs on it, and I have a constant fan blowing on it. Let's see, the LPC 1768 master chip with 32-bit frequency, blah, blah, blah. The regular doodads, it accepts 24 volts, which is nice. Hotbed current can be reduced to 1/4 under same power. Okay, that's a bit misleading because no MOSFET's supposed to drop any amount of power. So I'm a little nervous about the wording on this. SKR communication. Okay, so they are running SmoothieWare. So this is one thing that I never got into SmoothieWare. I just run Marlin. But my understanding is the guys who are behind SmoothieWare are really unhappy with these products that are capable of running SmoothieWare. So I tried using it. I can see why people end up using it, but I'm still a Marlin boy. But I can say with the 1768, you're going to be able to run it with Marlin 2.0 beta as of today. I just don't know if the pinouts changed at all. But, you know, maybe I'll order up one of these because I'm on the road for 2 weeks. So I figure by the time I get back, it should be here.
And the price isn't that bad, really.
No, $22 Canadian.
Yeah,
it's nothing. And then if they offer e-packet, they don't offer e-packet. That's where they get you. But I'm still surprised that the Biku Global Store is not selling the 1.3.
I think.
Okay, maybe they're forcing you to buy it in a kit. Oh no, there we go.
No,
just had to go
I have
right to the
I have it right here in front of me. 2712.
Oh, you already have the.
No, I don't have the board here yet.
Oh, okay.
I'm waiting for them to get more in stock, but I have it on my machine right now. I can't flip screens like you can.
Oh yeah, well it's because I'm running OBS as a virtual camera, so I'm just hitting the buttons on the fly. It's actually pretty cool that you can do that. Okay, so I can get an e-packet. Okay, so a total of $30 Canadian. I think that's reasonable. See, because the big thing that I like about this board, I'll see if I can transition back to it, is the fact that you can insert your own external steppers. You can see they copied a lot of the designs of the S-base there in actually giving the MKS breakouts for each stepper, and that's what I'm running my big machine on. I'll have to post some photos of it sometime. But this one you can plunk the steppers right into the main board, which is kind of nice.
Then you notice you can pull the fuses out of it too.
Yeah, that I didn't even notice that. Let me have a look there. Where is it hiding?
They're in the bottom right-hand corner.
Oh, there they are.
Yellow and red one.
So they're using automotive fuses. Okay. Okay, that's all right. Oh, it's too bad they don't sell a kit here with the a kit there with their knockoff BL Touch, because I have heard good things about that BL Touch too. Well, let's just take a quick look
that's
at this.
that's the knockoff one I have.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's a pretty simple design, so why not? Okay, they moved those ones to the top. I'm going to have to look at a schematic for this and see what they did, because some of this is definitely interesting. Now, the S-base, which is what I have here, by MKS. Apparently everyone's using the same name. Which, by the way, they were awesome to release like all the schematics and stuff, so it really helps to look up the information on it sometimes. Let's see if we can get her up here. So my one, I actually have multiple. I have up to 4 thermistors I can actually plug in, which is kind of cool. So with Marlin 2.0, you can actually set a chamber temperature for if you have an enclosure, and you could go and feed one right into that board. I've never used any of the enable disable SD card because there's some wonkiness when you're using it for Marlin. But otherwise, I think they're pretty similar. See, the S-Base, they actually come with DRV 8825s, and you can go down to 32 microsteps, but I've bypassed most of that. So maybe this board's more efficient. You know, what do you guys think? Let me know in the chat. Do you think this board is the replacement for the Gen L?
But I've bypassed most of that. So
almost had the YouTube audio coming up there.
Yeah, no, I cut it just so I can follow the chat.
Oh, no worries. I think I left the feed on YouTube. Google Hangouts is really weird for this. You know, if you end up clicking on someone's picture, it's going to stop the auto switch between whoever's speaking at the time. So I'm still looking into a fix for that. Hangouts auto switch. Okay, simply click the user you prioritized again. They should have a blue outline around them. And Google Hangouts will resume. Well, I thought... Okay, maybe... Oh, there we go. I just have to go and click on my thing again, and then it auto-switches. I hate you, YouTube. Or, well, YouTube adopted this. I grumble about technology sometimes so much. Oh, where's my chat window at here? Here it is. Alright, so, is there a real difference? Oh, I already answered that one. You were just saying about BL Touch. Can you get a plug-and-play for the CR10S Pro without having to mess with updating software? The simple answer is no, and there is a reason for that. It's because the logic inside the processor for these printers is programmed specifically for one methodology. So when it comes from the factory, you're going to have configuration for a Z end stop. And there is a firmware from Creality that supposedly enables their BL Touch. I wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole myself, but it exists. But the BL Touch, I'll have to go back and check. I'm a little rusty on this right now, but I believe Richard touched on it on a few videos. But we do actually have a BL Touch episode coming up here, so stay tuned for that, and you'll see it's actually not a lot of work to get it set up. It's more doing adjustments the first couple of times, and then it works perfectly after that.
Yeah, it's really not that difficult to set up once you get it working. It works fine.
Yeah, mine. Now, this is why I mentioned I was talking with Paris from BL Touch, because there are some issues with it with certain newer boards, especially the 3.3 volt boards, because I wanted to keep it 5 volts, and when doing some metering on my main board from the MKS S-Base, I found my 5 volt bus was at 4.6 volts, and I was actually having a repeatability issue. So I'll see if let's see if my printer actually has this. There's a command called M48. Oh, I didn't enable that in the firmware. Cool. Let's go ahead and enable that, and I'll show you guys how to test your BL Touch. So somewhere in the code here, where is it? It's called M48, and M48 will allow you to have the probe test the bed multiple times. I think the default is something crazy like, oh, I don't even have a thumb drive installed for that printer. Well, that helps. But M48 will allow it to test the bed upwards of, I think, 50 times. And then it'll give a metric out of what your mean is, what your range was, what your repeatability score was. And you should be getting something fairly tight. Otherwise, I would say your probing is too quick, or you're having noise on the line. So when we spoke with the guys at BL Touch, there's a couple solutions coming down the line, and as soon as that's all finalized, we'll bring it to you guys. But if you have a BL Touch V2, you should be relatively okay. All the issues I've seen are mostly with Melty boards, which ironically are in the Ender 3, Ender 3 Pro, the original CR10. But, let me know in the chat if you are having issues with your BL Touch, and I will definitely try to cover it in some form or fashion.
And to answer your question, Rick, it will work on glass. I have it set on mirror for mine.
Yeah, let me see if... here's this guy here, and you probably can't see it. Just barely in the center of that circle there is a BL Touch. And yeah, that's actually on a PEI sheet that's clamped to a sheet of glass. I've done it on mirror before. It does work great. So especially if you have mirror, don't go with the probes. Get a BL Touch. It's the best $50 Canadian you'll ever spend. RT says, I reduced retraction for the micro Swiss and I'm still getting clogging. Well, clogging, I swear, is 80% of the issues that everyone encounters. The sad truth is there's no one solution to fix them all. Now,
I would turn the temperature down a little.
That's always the first one I would go to, is turn the temperature down a little bit. You'll know when it's jamming right away if you can't feed that filament through. But most filaments, honestly, you should be able to get them through at a 200. I would say. I mean, 210 is nice, but 200 is the safe number usually. And now, these hot ends, I don't actually have any Micro Swiss clones anymore lying around. I actually converted all my other machines to E3Ds, which actually introduced their own issues too. But when we were talking, I think it was, oh my gosh, it was only yesterday we live streamed. Here's your stock hot end, right? And when you have these Bowden configurations, this Bowden tube actually goes all the way into your hot end. Now, when you get the all metal hot ends, it actually ends right about here or so, and kind of joins together in this metal tubing. So there's plenty of potential to clog in there, whether it's at the Bowden tube connection point, whether it's a result of heat creep and it's jamming up in different areas. The all metal hot ends, they're awesome, but if you're printing a lot of PLA, I actually found they introduced more headaches than they solved. How about you, Raymond?
Yeah, like I said, one of our enders, we have a stock, works fine. The other one, I have the upgraded hot end in there, works fine as well. I find if I manipulate my temperatures depending on the filament that I'm using, I have better control over it.
And that is very true. 98% of it can be temperature. In my case, I've had issues where I had to taper my Bowden tubes, though, where it jammed up. The past couple of weeks, I was fighting with a bunch of issues on my CR10 that was actually just a result of me failing to properly torque the nozzle. So I actually went out and bought a socket set, and actually I should say a wrench set, but a set of wrenches. That solved almost all my issues on that machine, but I still do have weird flow issues on it. So with the Volcano nozzle, I've got a tungsten nozzle, I've got a hardened steel nozzle. I've noticed it's still harder for me to push filament through those than it is through one that has the Bowden tube going right into the hot end. So I don't have an answer, really.
Yeah, no, I don't have one either.
It just might be luck of the draw, RT saying his temp's at 195. That's actually a little low, I would see if I would look at that. I would maybe bump it to 200, but I don't think even at 200 is going to make much of a difference. I would look at maybe slowing down your retraction speed. Retraction on my Volcano is only at 2 millimeters. If you have the Bowden setup, you can go a bit higher, but I would say keep it at most 2.5, especially on the non-Volcano nozzles where there's not a lot of working room in there. I'll have to check my numbers. I think I have it doing quick retractions right now, but I may be wrong. The whole point of retraction is to prevent stringing, right? So you want it to pull it away from the nozzle at a quick enough speed that it won't deform and it won't stick to the nozzle before it sticks to itself pulling back. So I'll have to check my settings. I think I'm always between 30 and 60 millimeters per second, which is a hilarious number because I don't allow my extruder to go above, I think it's 25 millimeters per second. I'll have to check my numbers. But it does vary material to material. PLA, they say go quick, but if it's not working for you, you can always try slowing it down. All it's going to really do is probably drag out your print time a bit more.
Yeah, I think I run most of ours at 20 on the enders without much of a problem.
And that does make sense. I don't like to run mine too quick either. In fact, I tossed my my Bondtech off that machine because when I did quick retractions, there was so much torque, so many torque issues on it. You know, it just kept popping the tube out or kept on actually twisting the filament up inside that extruder assembly. I love the Bondtech and all, but it is not good for a Bowden setup. It really needs to be direct drive. Rick Landon, on my China-made hot end, the machine threading was not very good from one piece to the next. Poor fit. Had to get a die and tap. Wow, you actually went you went and actually retapped it. Phew, I would have just thrown it out.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, that most of the stuff, most of the cheap stuff online it's just stainless steel, or sorry, it's aluminum. And aluminum is a very soft metal, all things considered. So, if you're in a bind, you know, Amazon Prime one day, it can be tempting at times. But honestly, once you've tossed all that stuff out, I think it works. The name brand stuff just works so much better. Joseph Porro is saying try an oiler. What a controversial topic oilers are. Do you have any opinions on those, Raymond?
Never used one. I know Ben Brady uses one, but I've never used one. Never needed to, I guess.
Yeah, I actually found it didn't really change anything, and the problem is if you over oil it, you get like these sudden bursts of just liquid oil flying out of the machine, and it can be really ugly. So, really, I think if you're getting an oiler, you're trying to overcome an issue in perhaps the wrong way. Like there may be better solutions. So if you take a look at it, right, the whole point of an oiler is to help lubricate and move the filament along. Your heat break really shouldn't need lubricating. So unless there's something jammed up in there, you know, the oiler might be able to better mask a partial clog. But it's also adding that liquid into the material, and I don't know how long it's gonna last, to be honest.
Yeah, I've had some of the throats that actually have the PTF tubing inside the throats, and they work really well. I like those.
Yeah, and if you're gonna go to that, then you know you may as well get a regular hot end there. See, in my case, I just went and put Capricorn tubing on mine because it tolerates the temperatures much better, doesn't warp down there, and I haven't had any problems with it yet. So it's worth a shot to, you know, try all sorts of different things there. You know, as RT is saying, troubleshooting is part of the fun. In fact, it's all the fun. I kind of get bored when my printers are just working. I don't know about you, Raymond, but
yeah, I always have one I'm working on somewhere. I have a Delta sitting on there that you probably saw when I did the video that I've been working on for the last 3 months. I bought it cheap out of Kijiji and rebuilt the thing.
Oh yeah. Why not? You know, a lot of people don't realize that, you know, 98% of the issues with some printers are just software related, right? So they give up because it's a closed box solution, but at the end of the day, a broken 3D printer is just a box of steppers and extruded aluminum. So I'm all for the challenge. I love just building printers for fun, and you know, as you're seeing on the show here, we're building that what the heck is it? It's a Prusa clone there, and everything I've seen so far looks good. There's a lot of experimentation and creativity at hand there. But you know, it is that's the natural evolution of this hobby. Is you learn the machines, you learn how to print, and then you learn how they tick. And that's, I think, where a lot of us are getting at now, is kind of digging into how they tick. So going forward, I'm going to try and produce a few more series on the details of the printer and what each piece does. As I mentioned before in the past, there's actually not a lot to the machines. The magic is in the processor and what it can mathematically calculate that we couldn't do, 7, 8 years ago on consumer equipment.
Well, that's precisely why I built the FL Sun, or I bought the FL Sun i3, because it was a build your own from ground up. They gave you extrusion, they gave you everything, and you had to build it yourself. At least that way I knew what went where, how to tune things, that kind of stuff.
Absolutely, I agree. My first printer was a monoprice, and I learned quickly what happens when you can't get replacement parts. So if you're gonna buy your first 3D printer, do try to look for a brand that at least sells parts for their printers. Monoprice was really bad for that the first time around. I think they're now a bit better. But
Well, the FL Sun is all 12 volt, so
yeah,
it's easy to get stuff.
well, yes and no. The 12 volt stuff, I'm noticing it's starting to fade out. I don't know much about your background there, but I'm in industrial control for a career, so everything I've ever dealt with has been 24 volts. 12 volt is a very consumer area, and so the fans, yeah, they're readily available, but I haven't looked into steppers yet to see what voltages they can handle. So,
Well, I'm a retired chef, so for me it doesn't make a difference.
oh, well then. So when are you gonna get your chocolate printer?
Yeah, I was looking at that. Not necessarily a chocolate printer, but just a food printer.
Yeah, I think there was that UK restaurant that's now doing the what do they call it? They're like the purees, so they're doing different pureed foods.
Yeah, exactly. They're doing vegetables and potatoes and all that kind of stuff.
I really look forward to that. If you actually get one of those, you got to bring it in.
No, I'll just have you over for dinner. It's easier.
Okay, that too. That'll be well, that can be cooking with Rich, and just see if Rich can outcook the 3D printer.
There we go. Well, it's better than putting an egg on top of it sometimes.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right,
This
so
FL Sun Delta that I picked up for cheap, the reason why it wasn't working for the guy was because he didn't know how to put it together.
and we've seen that. I've got a couple of Ender 3s that it was just, they got about 3 extrusion pieces in and gave up and sent it back.
It happens, I guess.
Absolutely. Dutch is asking, I think there's a good question for the end of the night. What is the best bed sticking material / method? Maybe I'll start with you, Raymond. What's your go-to bed adhesion method, if you will?
All 3 of my machines have mirrors on them that I either bought at Lowe's or I bought at IKEA. And the 2 of them I use glue stick, and my wife doesn't use anything on hers.
Wow. And it's funny you mentioned not running anything on the bed, because I did that for a while, and Richard thought I was crazy because, it works for some people and doesn't work for others. For me, it just worked great. Now, as for myself, I am actually all on various things. My Enders are actually still on the stock beds with just the what surface do they call these? The build tack clones, and they seem to work okay actually, at least for the speeds and the volumes I'm printing at. Now the big boy that I've shown a couple times here, it was on a mirror, and just recently, just due to some bed adhesion issues, I actually switched over to the cheapest, and I'm gonna say not recommended, PEI sheet I could find, with a big 3M strip on it. Now that it works. It actually works really well. I'm kind of sold on PEI sheets, but make sure you buy a reputable one, preferably with the tape pre-applied, and still get yourself a glass sheet to put underneath it, because mine has already started to bow. There was no instructions, so I applied it cold. That's probably not the way I should have done it, but I applied it cold, and I've got all these little bubbles and weird things on there and warping that if not for a BL Touch, I would not be able to print on that surface right now. And even you'll notice at the beginning of print jobs, you'll see it actually kind of moving up and down significantly enough that you'll see the nozzle like start to go thinner and wider and so forth. So that's kind of my screw up for the month, was buying a cheap PEI sheet from Amazon. There are plenty of options out there and probably thinner versions than what I bought. But with that said, PLA, it really sticks to it nicely.
I still have the original Pro bed on ours, like the build plate, and then I put the mirror on top of it. I have to raise my temperature on the bed by 5 degrees, but it works great.
So are you putting it over top of the... I'm going to reach over here to my idling 3 Pro, knocking over stuff here. Are you still using this guy, or are you just referring to the metal plate underneath it?
No, I put it right over top of the magnetic piece.
Oh wow! Oh, you mean the magnet sitting on top of the metal, right? Not this sheet.
No, that sheet.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Okay, I would tell you just take this out.
Well, the reason why we originally did that on my wife's machine, but what was happening was it was bubbling underneath the magnet or whatever stuck on the bed itself, and the aluminum bed was starting to bubble.
Oh, okay. So this is the only way you can keep it down.
Yeah.
Oh, that's weird. Yeah, I mean, this material is not great. I'm not sure if this will come through. It actually worked really well for a while, but then I had one really bad bed leveling instance the other day, and it's permanently ingrained the shape in the bottom of it. So I had to go and buy another one from Spool 3D the other day, and unfortunately, I had to. It comes as a kit, so I got another extra magnetic sheet in there that I didn't need. But $25, it's gonna solve the problem, I guess. But I don't like having to replace a whole bed for something like that. My glass and mirror beds, I took divots out of them, and those Lowe's mirrors, 6 for what is it, $15.99 or something? They're great.
I like the IKEA ones a little bit better because they sand the edges down.
Oh, do
you
they?
still have to cut them. Yeah, you still have to cut them, but they sand the edges down so they're not sharp. And I think it was 4 of them for $8 or something like that.
I might actually have to go check that out. See, for me, where I am in the city, I live right directly behind a Lowe's, so I can just walk in there. And the IKEA is 20 kilometers away, 10 miles ish. So
right,
it's a bit of, I'm even more south than Spool 3D to give you an idea. So I'm a little out in the boonies. But yeah, that's good to know that they round those edges off, and I assume they're still 12 by 12s.
Yeah, they're still 12 by 12, and then they have a protective coating on the back of it. You know how most mirrors have that silver finish on the back?
Right.
Well, the ones from IKEA have almost like a rubber finish on the back as well.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm definitely
So
going to
you have to cut. You have to cut through that first before you can cut your mirror.
That's really good to know. Yeah, because and for me, I've got a CR10S Pro there, or sorry, regular CR10S, so it's already the right size for me. So I'm definitely going to check those out once I'm back in town.
When do you take off?
Tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. So,
Wow.
yeah, it crept up on me pretty quick there. Just taking a look here. Mirrors and glue sticks all day, every day. RT, I like that. I have used glue sticks. Hit and miss for me, honestly. I like them, but sometimes they really are a pain to remove your prints. So I got tired of applying it every second print. I don't know, maybe I got to be doing something wrong, I figure.
Yeah, I apply mine once a week.
Oh, well, that's not bad.
And then I rinse it under water, clean it off, and reapply it again.
Hey, if it lasted that long, that's great. For me, I just had, it would last a couple of prints and that's it. Rick Landon saying he uses white, like Elmer's glue, I guess, on glass. That's an interesting way. Do they make a water-soluble version of white glue? Because if
I
so,
don't know.
that'd be awesome.
I know I've heard of people using sugar and water as well.
Yes, I actually did run that for a bit. The problem is sugar, you have to layer it accordingly on there. It's really going to stick on there. And when you try to go and remove that print, even when running under the sink, you'll do things like I did when I can't even see it much anymore, but I sliced my finger open on the glass bed, just sheared right underneath, almost down to the bone. So that's why I don't like using bed adhesion things. I prefer something that the print will fall right off the bed once we're done printing. I do have a bag of dust and print that I recently got. I love this sample, but I just haven't had time to use it ever since I put that PEI sheet on there. But it does work, you know? So if you want to try dust and print, that's one of the easiest things you can use.
Yeah, I have a sample that Richard gave me. I just haven't put it on yet.
Yeah, that do give it a go. I mean, it smells really nice. Mine, it smells like spearmint, which is pretty awesome. Oh man, so David Clark, yeah, I saw that you sent me the pictures, and that hurts. I'll share this with you guys. I think we all need to feel the pain on this one. Oh, that is a tough point to fail on after 16 hours.
Is that the second time it's failed at the same spot?
I think he's saying around the same time. Now, I can tell you exactly what happened there. We can bounce between the two or the several photos. Yeah, it's that one perimeter that's lifting up. So here's what I would do. Let me see if I can spin up Cura here. Because, yes, bed adhesion drives me insane. It's like the end of days for me. Now, David, maybe you can tell me in the chat there, is that just a brim you're using, or did you actually go with a full-on raft on that? It looks like it's a brim, but I just want to make sure. Because you can actually set the... you can actually set how many layers usually for a brim, and a lot of the time I'll go with that. I can see you must be using Mesh Mixer, I presume, for building those supports. So I'd love to, with that, actually, if you let me know your settings sometime, because I haven't used Mesh Mixer tree supports in ages. I'd love to see it. Let's see if I can find a model here. Okay, this one should probably be a challenge. So, here I've got an awesome image from Waluigi, and let's take a look at our build plate adhesion options here. So, by default we got to skirt. We don't want that, obviously. Let's take a look at the brim settings. Let's slice this up. So, with the brim, you can see I go as crazy high as like a 20 line count sometimes, and for me it's just worth the extra filament waste. So you can try that. Brim only on the outside, of course. A couple other things you can look at if you are using Cura's built-in supports. So if we actually add in supports here, is you can actually set the number of base layers of supports to thicken up and strengthen that base layer. But it does look to me like most of your issues are a result of that skirt falling apart there. Wow, that's a lot of support.
He also said that it failed in the same place.
Yeah.
So honestly, I would almost re-slice it because of that.
Definitely. I mean, the repeatability there, as you can see, the biggest issue is that entire side of the print is lifting. Now, there is one other thing that I've never actually tried, but this may help you. So, let's say on our print over here that, you know, you're having issues with these toes lifting or something like that, right? What I would say, is, let's see if I actually I should have one on here. Just for example, I'm going to take an XYZ calibration cube. Oh, did it just go and remove my other model in there too? Oh, it's because I opened G-code. I gotta stop doing that. I keep opening G-code instead of the actual STL files. But what you can do is, let's go back and see. Does that Waluigi is still in here? Cool. So we've got our two models sitting on the workspace here. If this side is being weakened, grab an object like an XYZ cube, drop it super low below the back plane. So say down to like 10.56, and then just slice it, because what this is going to do is this is going to extend the skirt out and build a tiny layer of an object. It's obviously not going to print underneath, so it'll waste a little more material, but it'll get you additional bed adhesion. So it's wacky enough. It should work. I don't know. You should give it a try. Let me know. You know, because especially if it's only in that one spot, you could actually go and drop a few of these around your model. Whoops. The only software Control D is not duplicate. You can go and throw a couple of these around here to strengthen your perimeters. And then the bonus is now you have these points that you can actually right off the bat tape or add extra tape to your build surface. So if you really need to assist that bed adhesion, you could do that.
An interesting way to do it.
Yeah, it's hacky, but you know, it's better than you going and loading up modeling software and changing things. And you know, as you can see, if you get it low enough, you're only doing one extra layer. So if it keeps lifting there, do that. Just give it a try. Let me know how it works out. I'm really curious because it's going to look so odd when it prints.
I've had really good luck lately with supports. I've been using a brim with line supports. Works like a charm every time.
Okay.
Easy to get off. Works really good.
So here's what I'll see if I can do it here. Let's see if the software is going to fight with me. I have been going and adding additional base layers to where my supports attach. So we'll see if it's going to keep forcing it to land on the bed, isn't it? So we're going to have to rotate this. So especially with objects where I'm using the tree supports there. Where is it here? Experimental. Cura tree supports are amazing, but they're so wonky at times. I've been trying to dial them in to make them look like other software. Doesn't always work out. So let's see. Is that going to give me some tree supports? Okay, so just a few on the outside. If we go down to layer 1, or rather, let's look at layer 2. So in this case, it prints right on the brim. Let's get rid of that brim though. So you can see on my base layer, it just has the base object. But you can go and add, where is it here? You can first of all increase the wall thickness on those trees to make them stronger. Where is it here? There's a setting in here that says how many layers to print on the base. It must be hiding on me somewhere there. But there are ways to strengthen up your base layers on these, so I would heavily advise adding more base layers on tree supports. Yeah, bed adhesion is always going to be a losing battle, but David Clark, don't go and buy one. Come on, that's no fun in the hobby world. Try that extra bed adhesion. As I said, increase your brim counts, and if that doesn't want to work for you, if it's only on that one spot, take a dummy object like a calibration cube and throw it out on the outer side so the skirt extends outwards to cover that, and I think you'll have a better time. Well, alas, with that, I want to thank Raymond here for joining me here. I didn't realize it's already 8:24, so we've just been blathering for an hour and a half, but thanks for coming out, Raymond. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.
All right, and to everyone, have yourself a happy Easter, happy Passover. I'm not very in tune with these holidays, so you'll have to bear with me. But, you know, happy printing, and remember that the first layer is your foundation to a great print. Have a great weekend, everyone. Take care.